Hello class, so welcome to another section of conflict resolution, and this is module 4. The title for this module is building career as a mediator. In our previous module we've looked at negotiation mainly, so now let's look at building career as a mediator. We have different careers paths that we can be followed when we are talking about conflict resolution. So negotiation in conflict resolution was treated in the previous topic. Now building career as a mediator. So we'll be looking at the meaning of a mediator. What are those things that needed to be considered when we want to build career as a mediator. So for the content of the module, we have the meaning of mediation, who is a mediator, role of a mediator, types of mediation, then the strategies and techniques used by mediators, then building career as a mediator. We'll be looking at these subtopics in this module. So let's look for the introduction. We have that in module 3 we explored the meaning of negotiation in conflict resolution, which I have stated initially. So however, in this module we will be looking at building career as a mediator. So it is important to know that mediation is one of the fastest growing and most respected professions in dispute resolution today and in this generation, in this century. A mediator is a neutral third party who helps two or more conflicting parties, be an individual, be it a family, companies, communities, or even governments, to reach a voluntary, mutually acceptable agreement without going to court. So as a mediator, the main purpose or the role of a mediator is to make sure that the conflicting parties, they reach an agreement, mutually acceptable agreement, without the cause or the need to go to a court. So unlike a judge or arbitrator who imposes a decision, a mediator on the other hand, he or she facilitates dialogue, manage emotions, and guide the parties to create their own solution. In short, mediator tends to look for a solution and settle disputes between conflicting parties and make sure they reach an agreement that is beneficial to the both parties. So let's look at the meaning of mediation. Mediation is a structured process in which a neutral third party, which is mostly or generally known as a mediator, is there to assist disputing parties in reaching a mutually acceptable resolution. Unlike a judge or arbitrator, the mediator does not impose a decision or determine who is right or wrong. He is not there to judge for Mr. A, you are right, Mr. B, you are wrong. But on the other hand, he is there to make sure that both parties, whether the right parties or the wrong party, mutually come to a mutual agreement. So instead, the mediator facilitates open communication, helps clarify issues, identify common interests, and guides the parties toward crafting their own agreements. This approach empowers the participant to maintain control over the outcome, making it particularly effective for preserving relationships that might otherwise be damaged by more adversarial processes like litigation. So now let's look at the meaning. Who is a mediator? Who do we refer to as a mediator? A mediator is an individual that is neutral, that is not biased, that does not that is not lean more to part A, so to side A than to side B. Is a neutral individual, impartial, third party, and facilitates communication and negotiation between conflicting parties to help them reach a voluntary, mutually agreeable resolution to their dispute. Unlike a judge, as we stated initially, or arbitrator, a mediator does not decide the outcome or impose solution or take sides. They guide the processes, clarify issues, reduce misunderstandings, and encourage compromise. So the mediation process is typically confidential, it is voluntary and less formal, and often less costly than going to court. Instead of going to court, mediation is a less costly process. Many mediators are trained professionals, often with backgrounds in law, though it is not always required. So in some contexts, like personality typing, e.g., the INFP mediator type is in Myers-Briggs. So the term describes someone empathetic and conflict avoidant, but the primary meaning refers to the dispute resolution role. That is the primary meaning. And who a mediator is, a dispute resolution individual. So let's look at the roles of a mediator. So we have mediation is confidential, voluntary, faster, and often cheaper than courts, making it ideal for preserving relationship, e.g. family, business, or community disputes. Success rates are high, around 80%, as parties are more committed to self-cartel solution. And for the roles, we have the maintain neutrality and impartiality. The mediator remains unbiased, building trust without favoring any side, any disputing side. So they also facilitate communication. Under that, we have that they help parties express concerns, clarify misunderstanding, listen actively, and reduce emotional barriers or hostility. Another role of a mediator is that they guide the process throughout the process of conflict resolution. They are there to guide this. They structure discussion, set agendas, manage the flow, often using joint session and private caucuses, and keep negotiation productive. So let's look at the types of mediation that we have. So now we have mediation as a type of conflict resolution, that relies on the skill and orientation of the mediator to guide disputing parties toward a mutually acceptable agreement. The main types of mediator includes the following. We have facilitative mediation, we have evaluative mediation, transformative mediation, and narrative mediation. So let's take it. Those are the main types of mediation that we have. We have facilitative, evaluative, transformative, and narrative. The important thing to note is that all these types of mediation, they are mainly there to make sure that the disputing parties they arrive on a neutral ground, they agree to a mutually acceptable agreement. And let's look at the strategies and techniques used by mediators. There are several techniques and strategies that is adopted by mediators when trying to achieve their aim or their roles. So let's look at mediators employ a range of approaches, individual, universal methods applied in most sessions, and targeted techniques for handling particular challenges. The core strategies and techniques include the following, which are: we have process management, communication facilitation, we have reframing, we also have problem solving and option generation. Try to solve the problem and look for the options and generate options for the two parties. We have caucusing, we have managing power imbalances, and enforcing agreements. These are the strategies and techniques that are used by mediators, that are adopted by mediators when trying to resolve conflicts. So now let's look at building career as a mediator. So building career as a mediator begins with a clear understanding of what the role entails. You should know what to do, what you want to do as a mediator, what the all details of the role. You should be a good mediator should be aware of the whole details. So a clear understanding of the details of the roles is very essential, and why it matters in today's conflict-laden world, and why this role matters. So a mediator, you should never forget that a mediator is not a judge or an arbitrator. Instead, they are a neutral facilitator who helps parties articulate their interests, explore options, and craft mutually acceptable agreements. So to embark on this path, that is building career as a mediator, one must first cultivate a genuine curiosity about human behavior, an appreciation for diverse perspectives, and a commitment to confidentiality and impartiality, recognizing that mediation can occur in a wide array of settings, which could be from family and community disputes to commercial, environmental, and international negotiation. Help aspiring mediators identify the niches that align with their passions and strengths. So it is important to know that when you want to build career as a mediator, you should know your role and why your role is very important in the society, why your role is very important between conflicting parties. So, and the first step, I believe we have mentioned that during the contents, that we should, as a mediator, they are mostly graduates or degree holder in law. Make sure they mostly pursue their career by studying law. Not only restricted to law, but law is the course that is more fitting to this aspect. We have other courses that we can do when we want to build career as a mediator. And for the conclusion, we have mediation offers a flexible, confidential, and cost-effective way to resolve disputes ranging from family feuds to complex commercial conflicts. By bringing in a neutral third party who can manage the process, facilitate communication, and help parties uncover underlying interests, mediation enables participants to craft solutions that courts can rarely match. Um, courts will not provide solution mainly to conflicts, but only judge um, the participating the conflicting parties. Sorry. So whether the mediator adopts a facilitative, evaluative, transformative, or narrative style, the core aim remains the same as I've stated initially, which is to empower the disputant, preserve relationship where possible, and produce durable agreements that reflect the parties' own needs and